Hello, I'm Jared.
And I'm Ebony, and this is his.
And hers, Warhammer
Warhammer
40K.
40K.
Yay. Oh boy. We are back to Dawn of Fire.
That's right.
This is book 8, I
Yes.
believe. There are 9 books in it, so this is the penultimate Dawn of Fire book.
Penultimate.
Kind of a wild series it's been.
Yeah.
You know, a little all over the place. Definitely not what it was originally marketed as. It was marketed much more as sort of following the Indomitus Crusade, sort of ongoing. And
I guess it
there's
is.
a few books that do that, but I feel like we are not getting like a broad overview of the Indomitus Crusade.
Oh, no, it feels very specific, I would say. Yeah.
Like there are maps at the start of each book that do help.
And there's like an appendix in the back, right?
I realized I did not read the appendix for the back of this one.
That's your favorite part of the Dawn of Fire books.
Oh, that is a terrible sin for me.
You can read it after this video.
I will, yes. So this is Hand of Abaddon. And this is definitely what I would call a Nexus book, similar to Unremembered Empire in the Horus Heresy. It was a book to just kind of bring a bunch of disparate storylines together.
We're trying to get all the characters in the same place so that a thing can happen.
So that whatever is going to happen in the final book, everyone is sort of already located there and sort of ready to go.
Yeah, which I guess it's good. It's written by a professional editor. There's like a lot of moving parts happening that you need to put together.
That is true. Yeah. So this is Hand of Abaddon by Nick Kyme.
Yeah.
Nick Kyme is not an author who tends to get a lot of praise.
I don't think this book is poorly written. I just think so much is happening all the time that it's really hard. And I think this will be an interesting video because it's really hard for me to tell you exactly what this story is.
Yeah.
Like there is no central character or central focus point because we're trying to get a bunch of characters that we know in the right place to set us up for whatever's happening in the final book. So it just felt a little bit disjointed. Like there are whole parts of the book that I don't even remember when we sat down to talk about it.
Now, to be fair, this was one that we did listen to. And the ones that we listened to on Audible tend to not stick in our mind as vividly.
Yeah, you're better at it than I am. I think reading the words on the page just imprints them in my mind better.
Oh, so for me, it's because I'm driving, I'm 100% focused on everything.
Yeah, that's true. We usually are listening to the audiobooks in the car.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's just that it sticks better for me when I read the words on a page. So I think I would say that this story starts with some forces at battle in multiple places on multiple fronts.
No.
At least 2 fronts?
No. So it starts with the Hand of Abaddon, which we learned in the previous book, and possibly the book prior to that, I'm forgetting some elements of it, that the Hand of Abaddon is not one individual, but a group of individuals, 8, that represent a whole variety of different elements of chaos. Tenebris being the one that we've been following for a long time, and his apprentice, Theodore Yang.
Yeah.
But we're introduced to the whole lot of them in this book. The Butcher King, the Scion of Plagues, the World Eater and Death Guard, respectively. The Host of Masks, some sort of Zancian anomaly. The Iron Magus, Dark Mechanicum. The Wretched Prince, of a fallen rogue trader. Augury.
Unclear. Unclear.
And the Sin of 6 Knives, which I'm pretty sure is some sort of Slaneshi demon. Well, no, because the Butcher King is the representative for Khorne.
There could be more than one.
There wouldn't be.
I don't know. Whatever. No one knows what Augury does, and I don't know about the Sin of 6 Knives.
Well, 6 is the what do you call it? The number of Slanesh.
Okay.
So I think that is the Slanesh representative.
Who knows?
Although if we really want to be theoretical, since there are 8 of them, and there are the 8 etheric domains of chaos, you could try and tie those together, which actually there's a little bit of that in this book. We'll get to it.
Okay, fine. So they're doing the thing.
Right. So they are forming the Anatheme again, which which for those who have read even a little bit of the Horus Heresy, that is the weapon that pierced Horus and started his fall to chaos.
Yes. And so they're putting it back together by stabbing it into a body, pieces, shards into a body. And that's kind of where we leave them at the end of that ritual.
Right. So they're sort of deciding, like, they've performed this ritual, they're together, and they're kind of like, well, now what?
Yeah.
So do we just dissolve? What are we doing here? So they're kind of like just mucking about a little bit.
And there's some tension because, a bunch of chaos people in the same place can lead to some tension. Yeah.
They have different goals in mind. Theodore Yang seems to have the eye of a number of the other hands.
Yeah. There's interest in her.
There is interest in her.
And she's kind of starting to be over it with Tenebris. Then there are Space Marines fighting.
Well, so we get to the Space Marines.
Okay.
Then we cut to a rogue trader named Ymir.
Oh, that's right. That's one of those storylines that I was like,
Yeah.
Okay.
And this is actually, given when this book came out, I believe this is... there was a short story where the kin fought some Necrons that was actually decent. But aside from that, this is the first novel that features the League of Votan.
Yeah.
We get a representative of the kin in the form of Khal Vutred. She's kind of awesome.
She is pretty cool.
I do like her a lot. I think the kin are well represented in this book. They're greedy, they're vicious, and while they do care, they don't care about you.
Yeah.
I think I like them, and I am very excited to see more representation.
I guess if I had to choose a linchpin character for this book, it would be Rostov, because Rostov is kind of the crux of these kin and the Hand of Abaddon.
So Inquisitor Rostov, who has been a linchpin character really throughout almost the entire Dawn of Fire series.
Yeah.
He has there was a short story that came with one of the limited editions about him that actually I will get to that in a second.
Okay.
But Inquisitor Rostov features heavily in this book. I like him a lot. Interestingly, his retinue does not feature at all.
I miss Chilka.
Which is unfortunate because I do like them a lot.
And Antoniato and that dude they picked up whose name I don't remember. But mostly I miss Chilka. Yeah, so Rostov has...
Lacrante.
Rostov has a lead on what he has been calling the Hand of Abaddon, because he's been picking that up in his sort of spy situationals as he does his job of being an Inquisitor. And he brings this information to Inquisitor Greyfax, who, for me, I think this is her first appearance in the Dawn of Fire.
In Dawn of Fire, yes.
Yeah, not my first.
Right,
yeah, but her first appearance in Dawn of Fire for me.
We read, what was it called?
The one with her. And so he brings this information to Greyfax, and she tells him that he should follow it up. He also brings that information to Messinius.
We're not yet. It's
weird how they all sort of center around Rostov.
Yeah. So Rostov is trying to contact forces beyond him in order to get some sort of assistance.
Yeah.
To sort of bring...
He thinks he's going to need some sort of fighting force and ships and probably Space Marines because he doesn't know what the Hand of Abaddon is, but he suspects it's big and bad, and he's going to need help to defeat it.
Well, he does eventually figure out that they are producing the Anathame.
Okay. Yeah, and so he's got Serenial with him.
Serenial is assigned to him.
And he gets a ship.
Well, he gets Farron Arios.
Yes.
So there are some Ultramarines. Their storyline for me was the weakest.
It's just not that interesting. I just wasn't invested in whatever it was they were doing.
Part of this for me is I don't love how Nick Kyme does Space Marines.
Okay.
I don't think he writes them in an interesting way. I think he writes them in a very bland and sort of generic way. This is true of all of his Horus Heresy books, too, for the most part.
Yeah, they just felt like generic Space Marines doing generic Space Marine things to me. But look, I guess Messinius gives Rostov Arios and a ship and tells him to go do whatever he's doing because they can't divert the rest of the Indomitus Crusade to whatever this is. And that ship belongs to...
Katla Hellvinter.
That's right.
which I'm not going to lie, I didn't want to see her again. I didn't care for her when she showed up in Tomb of Martyrs. I didn't care for her. Well, I didn't care.
Was she in Martyr's Tomb?
Martyr's Tomb, yes.
I don't remember that.
Yes.
Okay. Sure. I don't know. She pops up all over the place. So she's back.
Yeah, she was fine in Void King.
Yeah.
I did not like her in Tomb of Martyrs, and I will.
You've decided it's Tomb of Martyrs.
That is correct. And I did not care for her here.
Yeah, so
she's just a character that doesn't work for me.
So Rostov's on Ketla's ship. He's got Messinius, and he also gets a contingent of Imperial soldiers that includes
Magda Cash.
That's right.
So this is another storyline from Iron Kingdom, if I recall, was the last time we saw her.
Yes.
Which was the Civil War on Kamodar.
Yes, and that is, she made friends with Serenial. They shared battle together, are friends, and then went their separate ways. And now they're back in the same fighting force.
Yeah, so there have been some hints throughout the Dawn of Fire that Kesh seems to have some otherworldly properties to her, and Serenial is aware of this and actually reports this to her superiors. What ends up happening is Kesh goes into battle as part of the Indomitous Crusades just against Chaos forces and basically just starts to survive miraculous events one after another.
I think the first miraculous event might have been in
Gate of Bones.
The one where she fights a Space Marine and survives. I think that was the last time we saw her in the Kamodar book.
I mean, I suppose.
Yeah.
When did she fight a Space Marine?
She fought a Space Marine in a previous book, and everyone's like, what? And she survived.
I don't remember this.
That's part of her, story. Yeah, she definitely kills a Space Marine in a book.
The only Space Marines in the Iron Kingdom were the Red Corsairs, and they never landed on the planet.
I think it might have been one of those evil Space Marines that were from the other group.
What other group?
Don't worry about it. She definitely kills a Space Marine.
I had no memory of this.
Okay. But then in this book, they're prosecuting some war before they're with Rostov underground, and soldiers are getting buried and they might die, and she gives the soldiers around her morale and is protected. And so she's got this sort of mystique about her where all the soldiers think she's blessed and they are praying to her and such, and because of that she gets promoted.
Well, before that, I did really like the scene where they have to end up bringing an exorcist in to test her.
Yes.
And this was very interesting because this is what I prefer seeing the Imperium being, is an actually deeply theological,
you do like
religious, superstitious, crazy entity. Yes.
Yeah.
I want to see them torturing their saints to make sure there's not the hint of the demonic in it.
Yeah, she gets inspected. Yeah.
And I think that's a really neat scene.
And she passes that inspection, and they make her a major, a sergeant. I don't know anything about soldier ranks. Whatever the next rank is.
Captain, I want to say.
Sure.
Yeah.
And so now she is on Ketla Hellventur's ship with Rostov and Serenial and a contingent of Space Marines. And they are hunting a Blackstone fortress. And they're hunting it because of Rostov's connection to the kin, who have in their possession a chaos cultist who they think Rostov can use to track down the kin. And so he gets that dude, does the Rostov torturing. Yeah,
so this is another thing that, man, it is unfortunate. So each of the Dawn of Fire books has a limited edition story that went along with it, and Rostov's, if I recall, was an explanation of his psychic abilities.
Yes.
Which we finally get to see again here, but it is essentially he can read your mind as long as he is torturing you while he's doing it.
I think you just have to be in pain. I don't know that he has to be inflicting the pain.
So basically what he does is he goes into your mind, he feels the torture at the same time, and is able to draw thoughts to your surface.
Yeah, so I don't know that he has to do the torturing, but you must be in pain.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. And so he tortures this cultist and gets a lead on the direction of the Blackstone Fortress.
Well, they don't actually know that it's the Blackstone
I guess
Fortress.
They don't know what it is, but they know that the hand of Abaddon is in this direction, right? And so they're going to go off in that direction. except Ketla Hellwinter's ship needs some repairs, right? And the kin are going to do that for her and let him have this cultist in exchange for first right of salvage for whatever they find.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
So now everyone's all together and we're on a mission.
Uh-huh.
And they find the Blackstone Fortress.
Right. So the hand have been gathered on this Blackstone Fortress, which is not, from what we know, not one of the ones that were accounted for.
Oh,
There were a set number of Blackstone Fortresses that were kind of known in the galaxy.
Oh, this is just a spare Blackstone
Yes.
Fortress? Okay.
That was one. That was like an eye-raising moment in this. It's like,
spare
oh,
fortress.
yeah, just another one that was in existence.
And no one noticed this whole time.
Just to go back a little bit.
Yeah.
Just so you have some background on the Blackstone Fortress. We might have talked about this a bit during the Fall of Cadia
Maybe. Yeah.
book, but during the 12th Black Crusade, the Imperium did find 6 Blackstone fortresses, I believe. And the 12th Black Crusade was Abaddon's attempt to capture them. From what I recall, he was able to capture 2 of them and destroy the other 4, I want to say.
So as far as we were aware, there are no Blackstone Fortresses.
There's another one that was discovered that had an entire town kind of built up around it called Precipice.
Okay.
It was inactive. It is actually the setting for the Blackstone Fortress board game.
Okay.
Where you are like various soldiers of fortune and rogue traders who are making expeditions into the fortress to find treasure and whatnot.
Cool. Okay.
This is a totally different Blackstone Fortress.
Okay. Just a spare.
Right.
Loose Blackstone Fortress.
Yep.
Got it. It's huge.
Yep.
They're all huge, I guess.
It's bigger than the Phalanx, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah, it's ginormous. I don't remember them, like, landing on it. I guess there was a space battle, but I don't remember that at all.
Yes, so there was a space battle,
Okay.
in which the Blackstone Fortress does wipe out several of their ships with its weaponry, but they are able to get close enough to it in order to land ships on it. What am I missing?
Well, then we're getting a lot of fighting through the Blackstone Fortress.
Yeah.
And we get Kesha's big moment.
And we get Yang turning... Yang kind of develops herself and sort of develops a relationship with the Blackstone Fortress a bit.
She has been, like, communicating with the Blackstone Fortress throughout the novel in flashes, and at the same time, she has been sort of feeling this resentment towards Tenebris. She feels like she's destined for something bigger, and other members of the Hand are starting to intimate that she's destined for something bigger. The fortress itself is whispering that to her, and so she's kind of starting to turn on Tenebris a little bit.
Yeah.
And also, I think the Blackstone Fortress is kind of trying to test her. And I feel like Augury, in particular, of the Hand of Abaddon, has taken an extra special interest in Yang.
Right.
And is kind of encouraging this sort of revolt against Tenebris, sort of like apprentice versus teacher thing, and encouraging her to listen to whatever the Blackstone Fortress is trying to implant in her mind. And so her adventure is a little bit abstract and a little bit concrete. Like, there's parts where things are happening to her that don't really make sense. And then there's parts where she physically has to, like, fight, like, beings that live within the Blackstone Fortress.
She basically is able to commune with the entity at the heart of the fortress.
Yeah. And so that is happening while our forces are boarding and trying to make their way to wherever they think the control room of a Blackstone Fortress is. And in that process, they encounter several chaos elements, including a giant, like, plague.
Well, so they find 2 of the hands.
Yeah.
Like, they face against the Butcher King and the Scion of Plagues.
That's right.
Who, as the 2 Chaos Space Marines, are the ones who have the most interest in facing the Imperium.
Yeah, they stay behind. The rest
all of the
hand.
other ones just fuck off.
Yeah, they just leave. They're like, I guess we're under attack. Goodbye. Yeah, and so they are losing. Also, we should mention that this whole time...
Well, hold on. So the Imperial forces get there.
Yeah.
And there's nothing... Like, they're gone for the most part. Like, Chaos forces are gone. The ritual's been cleared out. Throughout this whole book, there's been another storyline going, and this is the one, what I would say, the real spoiler twist for me.
Okay.
Grail Herrick of the Red Corsairs, who featured in the Iron Kingdom and really got away with everything he wanted in that one.
Yeah, he murdered someone, stole their sword, made off.
He was in a good spot. Him and his warband have been venturing kind of through the warp, I believe through the Eye of Terror.
Yeah, it's an abstract adventure. Yeah.
To find something, and you weren't sure what they were questing for.
Yeah.
And the twist at the end is at the very start of the book, when the prologue ritual was occurring and they were all stabbing the chunks of the anatheme into someone. They were stabbing it into Herrick. Herrick is literally carrying all of the pieces of the anatheme in his body. And I thought that was a neat twist.
It is a good twist.
Because annoyingly, you have this storyline going with Herrick, you don't really know what's going on with it.
And for me, I was like, I don't understand why I care and why this keeps happening. I was like very not invested.
Yeah.
And so he's carrying those pieces of the anatheme on this abstract journey through the warp to a place where they can be smithed back into an anatheme.
So I believe he travels to the Forge of Souls. It is not explicitly stated. They meet with sort of like an acolyte there, who says that his master is not currently in house. I believe the master is Vashtor. For those familiar, Vashtor is an unaligned greater demon of artifice, who has plans to become the fifth chaos god. And for me, I'll leave the theory crafting to the end.
Okay. Yeah, so they make the sword. They pull it out of him. It requires him to sacrifice everything, including a member of his warband. He must kill a member of his warband. They pull these pieces out of him, forge them back into the anatheme, and then he thinks, great, I have this great weapon of chaos. I'm going to go off and use it for chaosy things.
And then Augury kills him.
And then Augury and Theodore Yang kill him.
Yes.
Because Yang is there. And so that's where we leave the sword in this story.
And that's pretty much the end of the book.
Yeah, that's true.
The kin get the Blackstone Fortress.
Apparently, yeah.
Like, there's just the whole remaining Blackstone Fortress is theirs to salvage, which I feel like if anyone else in the Imperium learns that Rostov agreed to this, he is so dead. That is a colossal loss for the Imperium.
But also, we didn't talk about Kesh becoming a saint.
Yeah. So Kesh becomes a true living saint, glowing wings, flight, and everything.
And her, saint glowiness saves Rostov, because this whole time, all of his psychic expenditure and fighting chaos, etc., has been turning him into a literal zombie. Like, he was about to drop dead, but he has to do this thing. So he's like, I just need to survive to find the hand of Abaddon and stop this terrible thing, which, good thing she turned into a saint and saved him, because the sword is loose in the universe, I guess. But she literally grows wings and glows and turns into a saint and banishes the Chaos Space Marines and saves the day and saves Rostov, and Serenial is super impressed by it. So, Saint Kesh.
I suppose so, yeah.
You did not love it. You didn't love Saint Kesh.
The actual moment of her transformation, I didn't think was earned.
Really?
Yeah. For me, it just wasn't felt...
I think that's because she's been transforming throughout the last 7 books.
But she hasn't been. She's basically just been the same, just with inexplicable luck that's been keeping her alive.
Yeah, but I do feel like we get a lot of her internal monologue about how she feels about other soldiers thinking that she's a saint, that I think is interesting. I always liked her as a character, so
I don't know.
I'm pro Saint Kesh.
It was too sudden for me.
You wanted it to be slower than 8 books.
Well, no. Okay. No. Well, she is not transforming at all. Not really.
I think she is. You don't love Saint Kesh.
No, I don't.
That's fine. that is the whole book, really. It's really a lot of getting the right people in the right places to do
Yeah.
the things, and also now the Anatheme exists. And Rostov's not about to drop dead. So.
That is true. Rostov is great. I'm sure he'll feature in the last Dawn of Fire book. Yeah, this one was kind of weird. You get a bunch of parallel stories, a few that connect, a few that don't. It's functional.
Yeah, but it just doesn't feel satisfying at the end because it doesn't feel like a story.
Right.
That's what it is. You don't have a uniform story arc. So when it's over, you're just like, that was a thing.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know. You got to score it now.
I do. I'm going to give it a 7.
Oh, that's higher than I thought you would give it.
For a Nick Kyme book, I did enjoy it.
Okay.
And I liked, let's see, 1, 2, 3. I liked 4 of the 5 storylines.
Okay.
I would say, you know.
I think I liked the Rostov storyline the best.
Fair.
Yeah, I don't know. I want, so there, it's weird because there are scenes that I want to give a 8 to.
Yeah.
But as an overall thing that happened to me, I feel like 5.
Really?
Yeah,
wow.
like it just feels very average,
Yeah.
right? There were some Space Marines, there was some chaos, there was some fighting, the end, but like the story arc of Kesh becoming a saint, I really enjoyed that. The story arc of Rostov like leading this charge to find this Blackstone fortress, I really like.
I like the conniving among the hand. That was actually one of my favorite
They
parts.
were probably my least favorite part. I think it's just because
no, the kin. The kin are definitely my favorite part.
Okay.
Specifically the kin after they kind of come on board.
Yeah.
You know?
I enjoyed the kin. It was fine. They were written well represented, like you said. Yeah.
I feel like I would have felt more for Herrick if we had read The Iron Kingdom more recently.
Maybe it has been a while since
because I know in the Iron Kingdom the rest of his warband were characters that were developed, and they were here. He had an apothecary. He has like one guy who's crazy all the time,
and the apothecary has to shoot that dude up with drugs because he's crazy all the time.
Like that was a thing in the Iron Kingdom.
And I think it's the apothecary that he kills in the end. That's like his bestie, and he has to sacrifice him. Yeah, I don't know. I could be moved to change my 5 to a 5.5, I guess, but like it's really average for me.
Yeah.
There's important parts, and if you're reading the Dawn of Fire series, you have to read this book. But like
Now, so my one thought that I had was in the recent Horus Heresy tabletop rules, they introduced the 8 etheric domains.
Okay.
4 that are very clearly tied to the 4 chaos gods, and 4 others that are a little bit more nebulous.
Okay.
Some people think 1 is for the Dark King. One is clearly for Vashtor. 1 seems to be kind of a reference to Malal or Malice, as the IP version allows.
Yes.
And then another one that is sort of unclear. The theory that's been going around is that these other 4 etheric domains represent chaos gods who have not formed yet. Because we do know that, for instance, Slaneshi demons were involved in the birth of Slanesh. Because the warp is timeless, these demons might already exist. It's just the moment of birth has not occurred yet in the materium. And so it is possible that there is demonic influence of these 4 other gods. We just can't recognize it yet.
Okay. Yeah, I like that theory. That's fine.
So I was thinking, do the other hands of Abaddon represent those other 4? I don't know how clear it is, because that would basically be... hang on, let me get the list up again. Tenebris, Iron Magus, Wretched Prince, and Augury are the 4 sort of clearly aligned ones.
Well, it's hard to no one knows what Augury's deal is. Like, I still don't know, so I don't know that we can tell that.
Yeah. Iron Magus, I could definitely see it. Wretched Prince, if you believe the Dark King is going to become a thing.
Yeah.
Sure. whatever the hell Tenebris is,
Yep.
and Augury.
Fury. Yeah. It's
Possibly.
unclear, but
Yeah.
it could be.
Yep.
Yeah. No, I like that idea. Yeah, I guess 5.75.
Oh, yeah, I'm convincing you.
Yeah, it just, it's one of the, it's like, when you read a series, there's always a book where you're like, this book has to exist because we got to get these people here and set up for the thing.
Yes.
But like, nothing important really is happening.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's, I don't know.
Fair.
We're excited for the final.
Which I'm going to be real interesting to know how they pull this together, because the final is called The Silent King and deals with the Pariah Nexus, aka Necrons.
That's not what I expected it to be about.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess I am excited. You do love a Necron.
I think their representation in 40K novels has been exceptionally good.
Okay, you do love a Necron, yeah. I don't know. I guess we'll see.
Yeah. What else we got?
I don't know. We've got a lot of things on the to be read list.
Yes, so we've still got Dark Imperium that we're going to do. What else have I got in our list of stories?
The Dark Angels.
Dark Angels?
We talked about doing the Dark Angels set of books. Or at least me.
Oh,
doing
the
them.
Dark Angels trilogy? Mm-hmm. We'll see.
Okay.
I might read The Vorbis Conspiracy, which is a Warhammer crime anthology.
Okay.
The sequel to Outgunned just recently came out,
really
Above
like
and Beyond.
that. Yeah.
People say it's I'm getting excellent reviews.
That's tops on our list.
Yeah, that is likely to be the next one, I think.
All right. So,
looking forward to that.
yeah. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Thanks,
Stay
everyone.
tuned. See what's next.